I call the member for Bowman.
Deputy Speaker, I know that the Prime Minister-elect has referred to rescuing a government that had lost its way, but I remind Australians that what we have in Prime Minister-elect Gillard is a minister who has walked out on a ministry that lost its way years ago. Deputy Speaker, we know about the Building the Education Revolution. We know the $5 billion that disappeared into the pockets of state governments and project managers and assorted spivs. We know the $1.7 billion that was sold by Prime Minister-elect Gillard as an expansion of the program, but it was just another blowout. We know that only 30% of those school laptops have been delivered and that so many children wait on that election promise of 2007 but are still yet to touch and feel a laptop. We know that only 13 of the 2,650 trade training centres have even been built. Parents promised so much more, have seen so little from this Prime Minister-elect. And finally, only 38 of the 260 promised childcare centres have actually been delivered, and that means that every childcare centre in the area of Redlands secretly fears a Julia Gillard Memorial Childcare Centre right next to their own. It's a dreadful predicament we're left in with education, and this is a Prime Minister who promises a fairer go. But don't just believe me. Once again, I've asked anyone who wishes to communicate with me on Facebook that's not a party member to have their say. Here it is, Glenn Irvine from Capalaba. There's a name for someone who one day categorically denies leadership intentions and then at the next stage is a coup for leadership. It's raw ambition. From Gabby Lewis, Rudd was not bad, he was doing fine. Gillard is bad. Just because she's a woman, people think she'll do better. I strongly disagree. We have Kerry Stewart-Haynes. No, not isolated to one personal party, a whole lot of snivelling and backstabbing, it seems to me. Andrew Darville-Thornside. I believe Australians are switched on to see this for what it is, a blatant re-establishment of the time-honoured traditions of unions manipulating the strings of Australian Parliament and government as a whole. I vote no to Puppet Julia. Amy Lorraine Thurwell from Cleveland. It's not fair. That was not a full vote. They just can't decide to change it with only 100-odd people voting. Rudd was doing just fine. From Capalaba, Michelle Welsh. I agree with Amy on this. As Rudd said, everyone learns from their mistakes. He does. Others just pass it on and ignore the mistakes that they make. From Gabby Lewis. We don't want Ms Gillard in charge. Tasha Power from Alexandra Hills. Pleased to see a woman PM, but ready for an election and let the public vote. From Brad McEnany. Stick with Rudd, he's doing a great job. Bianca Stubbs. I've always voted Liberal, but I think this could shake things up a bit. Ed Burnett, Cleveland. Good luck getting re-elected with Gillard in charge. Stacey Fells, Thornlands. I agree with Gabby, we need Rudd back. As for Mr Swan, we won't start on that. From Lauren Doyle in Capalaba. Gillard's a smart woman, let her have a chance to show Australia what she can do. From Julia Philcorn. Rudd was bad. Julia Gillard's worse. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she's any better. Can't wait for the next election. Okay, we have Rebecca Bulge from Alexandra Hills. Love Kevin Rudd, he was doing a good job. And from Hannah Rial, having a female PM should have been a momentous event, but Gillard wasn't elected. Should have stuck with Kevin Rudd. Peter Mara, who is inspiring our kids today? Union factions are not a great example of what kids need to aspire to. Matt Aubrey, many professionals are worried about the amount of muscle that's been shown by the AWU. Many support the decision to oust the Dudster. However, we're scared and shocked that the unions have so much power over a situation. Just a thought to chew on. And there you see a very clear message from the local people, unedited, Deputy Speaker. Many are concerned that we are returning to a period of bash the boss, to a period of Robin Hood, and anything that's good for Labor is automatically fairer. What we've seen is that ordinary people in my electorate have not been well served in the last 2 years. They're tired of those promises, and they know that Prime Minister-elect Gillard, you couldn't slide a piece of paper between her and Kevin Rudd. She's behind all of those same mistakes. And for her to foist it on a previous Prime Minister is disappointing to the electors in my area. To see that she again mouths the mantra of toughness on borders without a clue on how to deliver it shows that she's just another potential Labor leader who walks down one side of the street trying to keep her Labor members happy and on the other side trying to talk tough to the general population. What we have seen is her leaving education behind in a mess, Deputy Speaker, only to take on the reins of the country. But I suspect that the people of Redlands will not forget that whether you send your kids to childcare but you've had your indexation frozen and you've had the rebates capped or cut and the prices go up for childcare, you will not forget the previous responsibilities of Prime Minister-elect Gillard. If you're going to school and you haven't seen laptop computers and they're not insured and there's no broadband basis upon which laptops can run, you know to blame Prime Minister-elect Julia Gillard. And if you're waiting for some trade training centre but there's not even a lathe in your school to do it, then you know you need to blame this Prime Minister-elect Julia Gillard.